Ever feel like you're running on fumes on a hamster wheel that isn't even plugged into anything? You're not alone. And it's probably not your fault. How many times this week have you said, I'm just so tired? Or maybe you didn't even say it. You just felt it. That deep, in-your-bones exhaustion that a long weekend just can't seem to fix. It's that little pit of dread on a Sunday night, the Sunday scaries. But now it's somehow bleeding into Monday, Tuesday, maybe even Saturday. You're not alone. Not by a long shot. It feels like we're all running on fumes. We're stressed, we're anxious, and a whole lot of us feel like we just can't do this anymore. We see terms like quiet quitting trending, which is really just doing your job, but without the fake enthusiasm. People are dreaming of dropping out of the whole thing, cashing in their 401k to go live in a tiny cabin and raise goats. Which, honestly, sounds pretty nice some days. But what is this collective feeling of running on empty? We call it burnout, but that word gets thrown around so much it's almost lost its meaning. It's not just being tired. It's something much deeper. The word burnout itself is actually pretty modern. It didn't really start popping up until the 1950s, and it didn't truly take off until the 1980s. A psychologist named Herbert Freudenberger basically came up with the concept by analyzing himself. Here was this incredibly driven, high-achieving guy working in a high-stress clinic. And he found himself so overcome with stress and anxiety that, at times, he literally couldn't get out of bed. He said he couldn't even feel joy anymore. He described burnout as this devastating response to stress, frustration, and this demand. This relentless demand we put on ourselves for perfection, for drive, for more. Sound familiar? Since then, psychologists have tried to get more rigorous about what burnout actually looks like. The Yale psychologist Laurie Santos breaks it down into 3 main parts. Think of them as the 3 blinking warning lights on your emotional dashboard. The first light? Emotional exhaustion. This is that I just can't feeling. You have no more emotional capacity. You're like a house of cards. If even one more little burden, one more email, one more quick question from a coworker, one more piece of bad news gets added, you feel like the whole thing is just gonna collapse. You have nothing left in the tank. The second warning light is depersonalization. This is a fancy word for what I call the great cynicism. It's when you start to feel detached from everything. You start to question everyone's intentions. That super cheerful email from your boss, you read it and just think, ugh, what do they want now? You start treating people less like humans and more like obstacles or chores. It just gets in the way of any real, authentic connection. And the third sign, and this one I think is the real kicker, is a sense of personal ineffectiveness. This is the big one. It's the feeling that no matter what you do, it just doesn't matter. You could work an 80-hour week or an 8-hour week, and in the grand scheme of things, nothing will fundamentally change. You feel futile. And that feeling, that profound sense of futility, that's what I think is truly at the heart of this whole epidemic. It's not just that we're overworked. It's that we suspect, deep down, that we're running ourselves into the ground for things that just don't matter. Music shifts slightly, becoming a bit more curious. The anthropologist David Graeber had a term for this. He called them bullshit jobs. And when he first put this idea out there in a small online magazine, it went so viral, it literally crashed the website. It turns out that nagging feeling that our work is pointless, it wasn't just in our heads. It was a shared secret for millions of people. We're not just burned out, we're bored out. We're exhausted from the sheer effort of pretending that what we do all day actually is anything. So let's talk about that third warning light, that deep, nagging sense of personal ineffectiveness. It's the feeling that you're just spinning your wheels. Have you ever had one of those days? You get to 5 p.m., your eyes are blurry from the screen, you've sent 73 emails, sat through 2 sync-ups and a deep dive, and as you're closing your laptop, you have this hollow feeling. You realize you haven't actually done anything. Sure, you worked. You were busy. But did you make anything? Did you solve anything? Or did you just manage your inbox? Did you just move a task from the in progress column to the in review column? That feeling is the modern day curse of Sisyphus. In the Greek myth, Sisyphus was punished by the gods. His task, for all eternity, was to push a giant boulder up a hill, only to have it roll right back down again just before he reached the top. Forever. His punishment wasn't the effort. It was the futility. And that's what so many of us feel. We are Sisyphus, but in a swivel chair. We're not pushing a rock. We're pushing a PowerPoint deck that we know no one will ever read. We're pushing a quarterly report that's just a slightly different version of the last quarterly report. We're pushing brand initiatives and strategic realignments that just feel like shuffling words around on a page. We push the boulder up all week. It rolls back down on Friday night, and we show up on Monday to do it all over again. This isn't just a hunch. It's a phenomenon so widespread that the late anthropologist David Graeber gave it a name. He called them bullshit jobs. Now, That's a pretty provocative term, but his definition was very specific. A bullshit job is any form of paid employment that is so completely pointless, unnecessary, or maybe even harmful that even the person doing it secretly cannot justify its existence. But, and this is the real soul-crushing part, as a condition of the employment, you have to pretend it's not pointless. You have to go to the meeting. You have to nod seriously. You have to use the jargon. You have to act like that new mission statement is the most inspiring thing you've ever heard. The job isn't just to do the pointless task. The job is to perform the act of caring about the pointless task. And that performance, that's what burns us out. It's a special kind of emotional labor that leaves you feeling hollowed out, cynical, and fraudulent. When Graeber first published this idea in a tiny online magazine called Strike, it went viral. I mean, so viral it crashed their website. 1 million people read it, and it was like someone had finally spoken a forbidden truth out loud. People were looking around their open plan offices and whispering, "Is he talking about me?" The data backs it up. In one YouGov poll, 37% of people in the UK said their jobs were not making a meaningful contribution to the world. That's more than a third of the workforce, looking at the thing they spend 40 hours a week on and thinking, why? Now, Graeber got some criticism. He pointed to certain jobs, and people in those jobs shot back, "Hey, my job is really complex and is useful," and they're often right. It's hard to judge from the outside. But other sociologists looked into it, and they found that this feeling of futility is rampant. It's often found in jobs characterized by endless monotony or jobs that are just about managing other people who are also managing other people. I once worked at a big company where we were always bouncing from one big new corporate initiative to the next. We'd have these huge all-hands meetings about a new paradigm for Q3 inches or a reimagining of our core values. And we all had to get excited. But we knew. We all knew, on some unspoken level, that in 6 months, there would be another all-hands meeting with a different new paradigm, and this one would be completely forgotten. Nothing was ever finished. Nothing ever mattered. We were all just Sisyphus, sitting behind our laptops, going to meetings, and just getting by. And that is the connection. How can you not feel burned out when you spend 8 hours a day, a third of your life, doing something you secretly believe is useless? That feeling of futility, it doesn't just stay at the office. It leaches out. It stains the rest of your life. You start to think that if your work is futile, maybe you're futile. But here's the really scary part. What if the problem isn't just the job? What if the problem is also us? What if we've become so obsessed with the idea of work, with the religion of productivity, that we've created this system, and now we can't figure out how to stop? Feeling stuck in that Sisyphus loop, like you're just pushing the same pointless boulder every single day. Before we talk about why we're so addicted to being busy, what if you could take back a little bit of control? Starting today. My new ebook, 30 Days to a Better You, isn't about becoming more productive. It's about finding what actually feels meaningful again. It's your simple, day-by-day guide to breaking the cycle. If you're ready to stop feeling futile, click the link in the description to start your 30 days. Okay, so a lot of our jobs feel, well, a bit bullshit. We're Sisyphus in a swivel chair, pushing a pointless rock up a digital hill. But here's the really weird part. If our work is so futile, why are we so obsessed with it? Why do we feel guilty when we're not working? Why do we check our email at dinner? Why do we brag about how busy we are, like it's a badge of honor? This is the other side of the burnout coin. It's not just that our jobs are demanding it. It's that we are demanding it from ourselves. We live in what one philosopher, Byung-Chul Han, calls an achievement society. This is a really interesting idea. He says we used to live in a disciplinary society. Think of a 1950s factory. You had a boss yelling at you. You had a punch clock. You had external rules, and you were forced to obey them. It was a society of you should not. But today, we live in an achievement society. We don't have a factory boss yelling at us anymore. Oh no. We have something far more effective. We have an internal voice. And that internal voice doesn't say you should not. It whispers, you can. You can be more. You can achieve more. You can optimize your morning routine. You can turn that hobby into a side hustle. It's a society of, yes, we can. But applied to ourselves relentlessly 24/7. We are our own worst managers. We are our own toughest bosses, forcing ourselves to grind, to hustle, to achieve. We've all become entrepreneurs of the self, constantly trying to improve our own brand, our own human capital. Think about it. When was the last time you did something just because? Just for the simple, pure, non-productive fun of it. It's hard, right? You start learning guitar, and immediately a voice says, you should get good at this. Maybe you could play a gig. Maybe you could post a video on Instagram. You start baking bread, and suddenly you're researching how to open an Etsy shop for your sourdough. Every hobby gets pressure tested for its potential to be productive, to be monetized, to perform. Even our rest isn't really rest. We don't just do nothing. We recharge our batteries. We sharpen the saw. We do self-care. And why? What's the unspoken end of that sentence? We recharge our batteries, so we can go back to work on Monday and be even more productive. Our leisure has become just another tool for work. It's not an escape from the system. It's maintenance for the system. This is the productivity trap. We are driven by this constant internal pressure for perfectionism and drive. It's an excess of positivity, as Han calls it. It's the belief that everything is possible if you just try hard enough, optimize enough, and hustle enough. So if you fail, if you're burned out, if you're anxious, if you're not happy, whose fault is it? It's yours. You just didn't try hard enough. You didn't want it badly enough. You didn't optimize your life-work balance. And that is a terrible, crushing weight to carry. So let's recap. On one hand, we have jobs that we suspect are fundamentally pointless Sisyphus in the chair. On the other hand, we have a culture that tells us our entire value as a person is based on our ability to be productive and achieve. We are running as fast as we can on a hamster wheel that we built ourselves that isn't attached to anything. That is the perfect toxic cocktail for burnout. We're exhausted from performing futility. We are both the prisoner and the prison guard, and we're just so tired. So, if the answer isn't hustle harder, what is it? What if the cure isn't about doing more? What if the cure is about doing nothing? So, we're trapped. We're Sisyphus in a swivel chair, working pointless jobs, and we're also our own worst bosses, whipping ourselves to be more productive, to achieve more in those pointless jobs. We're exhausted. We're burned out. So what's the answer? What's the cure for this relentless, exhausting achievement society? What if the answer is nothing? I know. It sounds like heresy. It sounds lazy. Doing nothing is probably the most terrifying concept in our modern world. I mean, think about it. When was the last time you were truly, genuinely bored? I don't mean stuck in a meeting bored. I mean, sitting on your couch with no TV on, no music playing, no book in your hand, and no phone. Can you even imagine it? Most of us can't. The second we feel that little prickle of boredom, that first hint of an empty moment, what do? We twitch. We reach for the phone. We have to check something. An email, the news, Instagram, anything. We'd rather mindlessly scroll through pictures of a stranger's vacation than sit alone with our own thoughts for 60 seconds. We have become terrified of being bored. We've been taught our whole lives that idleness is a sin. Idle hands are the devil's workshop. We've been told that being bored is a sign of being a boring person, that it's a waste of time. And in our achievement society, wasting time is the ultimate crime. But what if we've got it completely backwards? What if boredom isn't the problem? What if boredom is the cure? This is what a lot of philosophers, from the ancient Greeks to modern thinkers, have been trying to tell us. The philosopher Byung-Chul Han, the same guy who named the Achievement Society, says that if we want to counteract burnout, we have to learn how to be bored again. We have to learn how to be idle. In the ancient world, for thinkers like Aristotle, idleness, or what they called leisure, wasn't a dirty word. It wasn't about being lazy. It was the goal. Work was just the stuff you had to do, the necessary, annoying chores, so that you could earn the time to be idle. And in that idle time, you weren't just chilling. You were doing the most important human activity of all, contemplation. You were thinking. You were exploring ideas. You were figuring out the world. You were discovering what it meant to be human, what a good life looked like, what mattered. We've completely flipped this. We see work as the point of life, and we see idleness as just a tiny frantic pit stop to refuel, like recharging our batteries, so we can get back to the real business of being productive. But what if we just stopped? What if we allowed ourselves to be idle, not for the sake of anything else, but just for its own sake? The philosopher Bertrand Russell put it perfectly. He said, the modern man thinks that everything ought to be done for the sake of something else and never for its own sake. That's us. We go for a walk to get our 10,000 steps. We play a game to sharpen our mind. We listen to a podcast to learn something. We're always optimizing. What if we just went for a walk? Just to walk. To look at the trees. To feel the air. With no goal at all. That's really hard. When you first try it, your brain will scream at you. It will feel useless. You'll feel antsy, guilty, and uncomfortable. But maybe that's the point. Maybe learning to just sit in that uncomfortable boredom is the first rebellious step. Because in that quiet, in that useless space, where you're not achieving or producing anything, that's when you can finally hear yourself think. That's when you finally get a chance to ask, wait, what am I even doing? And why? That boredom isn't an enemy. It's a doorway. It's the portal back to ourselves. And it might be the only way we can figure out what a life beyond the hamster wheel could even look like. So, we've done it. We've sat in the uncomfortable quiet. We've faced the terrible twitchy feeling of being bored. And now what? Is the cure for burnout just to sit on a cushion all day and contemplate? No. That's not the answer. That boredom, that idleness, it isn't the goal. It's the space. It's like clearing out a cluttered, overgrown, weed-filled garage. The point isn't to have an empty garage. The point is to finally have the room to build something. And this is where the real, beautiful, rebellious part of the cure comes in. This is where we learn the joy of just because. The achievement society, that's our inner boss from topic 3, tells us that everything we do must have a point. It must be productive, monetizable, or optimizing. The just because cure is to find something, anything, and do it for the most beautifully simple reason of all, just because you want to. This is the act of finding something, gloriously useless. And I mean useless in the best possible way. I mean useless to the part of your brain that's obsessed with your quarterly goals. Useless to your LinkedIn profile. Useless to your side hustle. I'm talking about doing something where the only goal is the doing of it. This is the direct antidote to the futility of the bullshit job. Think about it. In that Sisyphus in a swivel chair job, you work all day, but the outcome feels meaningless. The rock just rolls back down the hill. When you do a just because activity, the outcome doesn't matter. The process is the entire point. You are 100% effective, 100% of the time. Want to learn 3 chords on a guitar, not to start a band, but just to hear a sound you made. That's a win. Want to bake a lopsided, ugly cake, not for an Instagram photo, but just because you like the smell of vanilla. That's a win. Want to go for a walk, not to hit 10,000 steps, but just to look at the weird way the bark is peeling off a specific tree. That's a win. This is play. Real, adult, unoptimized play. It's tinkering with an old bike. It's sketching badly in a notebook. It's learning a card trick, or trying to identify a bird, or just lying on the grass and finding shapes in the clouds. At first, it will feel wrong. That inner manager, that entrepreneur of the self, will start screaming, "This is a waste of time." You could be answering emails. You could be networking. You could be building your brand. And this is your moment of quiet rebellion. You just let that voice scream, and you keep on whittling that weird little piece of wood. This isn't about quitting your job to go raise goats, unless you really want to raise goats. This is about building a part of your life that the achievement society cannot touch. It's about building a sense of self that is not defined by your productivity. It's a secret garden just for you. When you do this, you're not just recharging your batteries so you can go back to being a better cog in the machine. You are proving to yourself, on a deep, fundamental level, that you matter more than your output, and that breaks the back of burnout. Because burnout stems from futility, from feeling like you don't matter. The just because cure is the practice of mattering to yourself. So find your glorious, beautiful, useless thing. Do it just because. Do it badly. Do it with no goal. And in that useless act, you'll find the one thing all that relentless productivity could never give you, a genuine, undeniable, and perfectly effective sense of purpose.